And joining me now is David Hawkins. He's the editor of the Fulcrum here in Washington, D.C. And David, we have a couple big days on the primary calendar coming up. South Carolina on Saturday, a couple days later, Super Tuesday. And election security has really risen to the top of the most important issues. Why is that?
So election security is sort of a broad topic. We have the notion that we know from 2016 that the Russians attempted to interfere in voting systems in 21 different states, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Beyond that, they did more than just poking around in software and hardware. They also mounted a big disinformation campaign. So it's a broad spectrum thing. There's already information from the intelligence community to Congress in the last couple of weeks that the Russians are at it again, that there might be other adversaries of the United States that are doing this. Of course, nothing is more important in American democracy than believability in the election, and just the notion that there could be interference, there could be disruption, is making a lot of voters nervous, and the very fear of elections being insecure is what's prompting a lot of this interest in making them more secure.
Yeah, and up on Capitol Hill, there's been a couple measures to kind of deal with that. Can you talk a little bit about that and why it's become a partisan issue?
Right, so the House has passed several bills that would punish any foreign interference in elections. It would actually impose sanctions on the Russians if there's new proof that they're trying to interfere in the elections again. There are other legislation that would require candidates to actually tell the FBI if they believe that they've been hacked or interfered with or even donated to in any way. The Democrats think that this makes total sense. They also think it's a way of poking at President Trump. The Republicans genuinely feel that elections should be run at the state and local level. There shouldn't be a lot of federal interference. And beyond that, they also agree that the president doesn't want anything to cast doubt on the legitimacy of his last election. And so they would just as soon not talk about this.
And you guys track this closer than anybody. What are a couple of the big things that you're watching when it comes to election security?
So I think we're watching two things. One is now that the voting is actually starting, is there any evidence that any of the voting has been disrupted? There was initial fear that what happened in Iowa, maybe there was some interference there from foreign powers. Seems like not. It seems like just really bad software design. But as the voting goes along, we'll be watching to see if there's any evidence that it's being tampered with in any way. We're going to be watching election security more broadly than that, is just how easy is it to vote? Are people being turned away from the polls for seemingly mysterious reasons? Democrats have gone to court all over the country to try and win lawsuits to get their people, make it easier for them to vote, and the Republicans have saying they're spending just as much to try and make it harder for people to vote. They say to deter fraud.
Okay, David, thank you so much. For more stories like these, you can check out the Fulcrum at thefulcrum.us.